Watch out and take care. The film opens with a flashback. Young Madeline Swan tends to her ailing mother, while a man in a mask approaches their home. Madeline sees the man at the window and runs to hide. The man enters the house, introduces himself to her mother as Lucifer Safin, and says he is there for Mr. White, as he killed Safin's family. When Madeline's mother can't give him an answer, Safin shoots her to death. Madeline goes to hide under her bed, where Safin goes to look for her. She shoots him and drags his body outside, but he turns out to be alive. Madeline starts running across the icy lake until she falls through. Safin cannot bring himself to let the girl die, so he shoots the ice and pulls her out. Jump to the present, where Madeline is living with James Bond and Madara, romantically. Although they are both happy together, Madeline knows Bond still has lingering thoughts about Vesper Lynd, who she points out is buried close to them. She encourages to let her go, doing the same with her memory of Safin by writing "Masked Man" in French on a piece of paper and burning it. The next morning, Bond goes to Vesper's tomb to finally forgive her. He also has a piece of paper ready to burn that says "Forgive me" on it. Before leaving, Bond sees a Spectre calling card nearby, and seconds later, the tomb explodes. Bond recovers quickly enough to start running, only for assassins, led by a man with a cybernetic eye called Primo/Cyclops, to go after him. Bond races back to his room on a motorcycle to get Madeline, accusing her of having him set up since the assassins should not know where to have found him. He gets Madeline in the Aston Martin and ends up in a high-speed chase across Madara, with Bond getting assassins to crash their vans or get shot. The villains corner Bond and Madeline in the middle of the plaza, with her begging Bond to make a move while he sits there and lets the thugs shoot at the car. When he sees that Madeline is telling the truth, he activates the machine gun in the car and kills nearly every assassin except for Primo. Once they are in the clear, Bond takes Madeline to a train station where he puts her on a train and parts ways with her due to his trust in her being destroyed. She tearfully tries to catch him as the train begins to depart, but he is long gone. 5 years later, another team of assassins break into an MI6 lab. They are working under Safin, who contacts head scientist Valdo Abrashev and warns him about who is coming. The assassins take Abrashev and another scientist captive while killing the rest of the team. They are there to acquire Heracles, a deadly bioweapon that can be used as a poison through skin-to-skin contact. After getting what they want, the assassins kill the other man and take Abrashev with them. MI6 catches wind of this, with Monopony going to talk to him about it, but he remains tight-lipped on what Heracles is and demands to know where 007 is. Bond is now retired from MI6 and living in Jamaica. He runs into Felix later and his colleague Logan Ash. They go to a nightclub where Felix tells Bond about Abrashev's capture and the break into the lab. Bond has little interest in getting involved in recovering Abrashev, and he also tells Felix he has a suspicious feeling about Ash. As Bond tries to go home, he finds that his car isn't working. He is approached by a woman called Nomi, who gives him a ride on her motorcycle. When they get back to his place, she quickly drops her facade to reveal that she is not only an agent with MI6, but also the new 007. She tells him that Abrashev is her target and for Bond to stay out of her way. M and Bill Tanner talk to Q about retrieving files stolen from the lab. Bond contacts M to ask him what he has done involving Abrashev and Spectre. M hangs up and tells Tanner he wants to get in touch with Blofeld, who is locked up in Belmarsh and is seen talking to himself. Felix has Bond go to Cuba to meet a CIA operative named Paloma. They infiltrate a Spectre meeting where Blofeld is using a robotic eye like the one Primo uses to observe the party. Meanwhile, Abrashev is being forced to set up Heracles in the facility, but he is seen switching a vial from the device. Once Bond and Paloma realize Blofeld is up to something, the entire party turns their focus to Bond. The Heracles poison is released into the room, with the intent to kill Bond while the poison doesn't affect Spectre agents. What happens is the opposite, as Spectre operatives start to grow boils on their faces before dropping dead, all while Bond and Paloma remain unaffected. The two face off against gunmen, including Primo, while Nomi shows up to apprehend Abrashev. After killing off several henchmen, Paloma gets a car and spots Abrashev, trying to make a run for it. She rams the car into the structure he is climbing down, causing him and it to collapse onto the car. Bond takes Abrashev and parts ways with Paloma after she gives him a cigar for Felix, and Bond takes Abrashev away on a rickety old plane. Bond to stop talking. Abrashev says Spectre were always the main targets, So he changed the DNA sample during the poisoning to kill him instead of Bond, and he also says that M helped him create Heracles. When Bond asks how Blofeld knew he would be there, he quickly realizes Ash is a double agent working with Abrashev. During a struggle, Ash shoots Felix and gets away with Abrashev, where they blow a hole into the ship to cause it to sink. Although Bond tries to help Felix, they know his gunshot wound is too severe, and Felix resigns himself to his fate. Bond regrettably leaves his friend behind before managing to break free and escape. Bond returns to MI6 to confront M. He demands to be let into Belmarsh to speak to Blofeld, but M refuses and ends up sending Bond out after Bond pisses him off. M calls Nomi in to tell her that he wants everything in Blofeld's cell scanned, even the man himself. On his way out, Monopony offers to help Bond. That night, they go to Q's house as he is preparing to have dinner with his boyfriend. They ask him to take a look at the files they recovered, and when he does, they discover files on the Spectre targets, with only Blofeld remaining. There are also thousands of other files on others regarding their DNA samples all over the world. Bond tells Q to get him into Belmarsh to meet with Blofeld, but he says only one person has access to him. Cut to Madeline going to her job as a psychiatrist. She goes to her office to find Safin there, but she doesn't immediately recognize him until he presents her with his broken mask. Once she becomes frightened, he tells her that he needs her for something. Bond later meets with the whole MI6 team to be reinstated as a 00 agent. They review files over a Spectre operative's funeral, where 5 family members who came into contact with him are now dead from contracting the Heracles poison. To his surprise, he finds that she has a daughter, Mathilda, although Madeline claims she is not Bond's. After putting Mathilda to bed, Madeline informs Bond on who Safin is. Blofeld instructed Madeline's father to kill Safin's whole family, which left him as the only survivor with facial disfigurements. She also mentions an island that Safin's family had, where his base of operations currently is. Bond gives Q info on locating Safin, and Q informs MI6 that the island is located between Japan and Russia. Nomi is looking for Ash, but Bond learns that he and Safin's other minions are close, so he gets Madeline and Mathilda out of the house for safety. On the road, Safin's assassins chase after the 3. Bond runs 2 off the road, but their van is also knocked off the road. Bond shoots at the assassins and sets traps for a couple others, until Ash comes out to try and kill Bond himself. Bond overturns his van and causes him to crash. Ash crawls out and asks for Bond's help. In retribution for Felix's death, Bond pushes Ash's van down to crush him. He then learns that Madeline and Mathilda have been abducted and taken to the island. Bond rejoins MI6, where Nomi relinquishes the 007 title to Bond as they head out to the island to stop Safin and save Madeline and Mathilda. Meanwhile, the villain brings the 2 to his garden where other poisonous plants are developed, including the nanobots being harvested for the Heracles poison distribution. Bond and Nomi are brought to the island where they break into the facility and go after the gunmen. They capture Abrashev and plan to blow the place up, although they don't have enough explosives to get the job done. After continued threats, Nomi pushes Abrashev into a pool of nanobots, where he is gruesomely dissolved. The other workers flee once they see the effects of the nanobots. Madeline manages to escape from Primo's captivity by throwing hot tea in his face. Bond finds Safin with Mathilda in his captivity. When Safin threatens both her and Madeline, Bond gets on his knees and begs Safin to not hurt them if he does what he wants, but Bond then takes out a concealed pistol and kills Safin's guards. But he escapes through a hatch with Mathilda. However, the little girl bites Safin and he just lets her go. She hides until Madeline finds her. Bond runs into them and helps them get away. Bond goes to open them again and is attacked by Safin, who shoots him and then infects him with nanobots, specifically targeting Madeline and Mathilda. Bond fights Safin and breaks his arm before shooting him dead. He manages to open the doors again, but he realizes he cannot leave the island without hurting Madeline and Mathilda. He contacts Q, who has Nomi put Madeline on the line for him. They share a final moment together, reaffirming their love for one another, and Madeline confirms that Mathilda really is Bond's daughter. He then stands as the missiles arrive, obliterating the facility and Bond himself. Everyone else realizes what has happened. Back at MI6, M, Tanner, Q, Monopony, and Nomi all gather for a toast to Bond's memory. Madeline drives Mathilda to Madrid to continue their lives. She then decides to tell Mathilda the story about her father, a man named Bond, James Bond. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, subscribe.